Let's talk about COVID-19, coronavirus, about the collective fear and the resulting behaviours of people and of yourself during this process. I'm Jason for AwakenedEssence.com. This evolving situation on the planet with the COVID-19 is a clear measuring stick for you to gauge your capacity to be present and responsive in the midst of humans going a little bit into fear and into craziness. There is numerous examples there in the news now where people are resorting to behaviour that's as bad as a war zone. Toilet paper's disappearing off the shelves. I've been into so many supermarkets now and it's amazing what shelves are empty and what shelves are still full. It's not terribly logical. So reflect on your behaviour over the past 2-3 weeks in regards to, or longer, given it's March now, what your behaviours have been, what you've reacted to, and where you've gone out and bought into the collective fear, like stocking up on stuff like toilet paper, because that gives you an indication of how settled your spiritual practice is, how settled, hopefully, if you're watching these videos here at Awakened Essence, where I talk about presence and bringing that into everyday life, how you are applying that. You can be aware of your presence, your stillness, and truly tune in to what's required for you to keep yourself safe and keep your community safe. There is a death rate with this thing, so by you participating and doing the right things, which basically comes down to washing your hands and keeping enough space so you don't transfer or get transferred to, and washing your hands because the virus lasts longer on surfaces. It's not whether you've got a person next to you that's got it, it's whether they touched it in the last 9 days. This has been missed by the media. Washing your hands properly, 20 seconds. Your thumbs with soap, because the soap blows the cell out. It dissolves the fat layer around the virus. It's very, very effective, more effective than actually using those antiseptics with alcohol in them. Okay, and this is what the doctors are saying. So it's a chance for you to be aware of your practice even more, knowing that there's all this gnawing collective field of fear from humans, not to mention every page on the newspaper these days is about who's got what, how many new cases, who's been locked down, what the new restrictions are. This has been done to slow it down, to keep the vulnerable people healthy and alive until we beat this thing. So from a place of service to humanity, it's a good thing to follow what's happening, but not buy into all the fear. So reflect on where you've been and when this stuff's coming up, or you're seeing it in the newspaper, on the TV, or wherever you're seeing someone wearing a mask. What's your reaction? This is how your awakening in your spiritual practice is very measurable, because it's about you choosing to be conscious of every situation in life, regardless of what's going on. This awakening thing, the spiritual thing, isn't about living in a place of peace and bliss where everything is wonderful non-stop. Life happens. Us here in Australia, I was in the fire zone. That fire Armageddon stuff was something else, because I was there. It's amazing the effect it has on your humanness. So this coronavirus, COVID-19 outbreak, is certainly impacting the collective and how we're going about things. We are questioning things. And a lot of people are just running with the mob and doing silly things like buying out all the toilet paper. Well, what about everybody else? Because let's be logical about this. If there's no food because everybody's in quarantine, you're actually not going to need toilet paper. So why has the food shelves not emptied out, but the toilet paper has? Is that just obvious? So let's move on from that. Are you aware of your body? How it feels? Your presence practice, and that it's anchored in the lower half of your body, given all the fear that's going on. Notice your solar plexus and any uneasy feelings you have, but get under there. Contract your pelvic floor, your butt, your thigh muscles. Feel them. Get under your tummy, which is where your fear is, your sense of identity, your emotional centre. When you get under that, you can then be aware of the space, the presence, the stillness that you truly are, which is impersonal when you go deep enough through the layers. There is no fear there. So this space, this presence, your inner peace, can be the container in which you deal with a COVID-19 lifestyle, with a society that's choosing to shut things down and banning meetings and all that sort of stuff. Okay? Be aware of that. Feel the pull of the fears to drag you into any sort of behaviour pattern, unless it's washing your hands, which is a good thing. Okay? Or if you're going to cough, block it. So this pandemic situation can be used to enhance your practice, for you to come back and check out, I'm about to resort to this sort of behaviour. Is this true for me? Am I present? Do I logically need to do this? i.e., do I need to buy more toilet paper, even though I don't have enough food to last 2 weeks in the cupboards? All right? You won't die if you don't have toilet paper. This is what it's shown, how us humans go into reaction mode and do stuff that's not terribly logical. It really is quite a classic example. Am I here? Am I present? And then feel the difference, because when you move far enough through your spiritual journey and you've dealt with enough of your own stuff, you will come into the other types of beliefs and stuff that comes from your inheritance through your DNA and your earlier childhood, womb, DNA, all that sort of stuff. And those belief patterns that will still come out as behaviours in you have a different feel compared to, your own personal triggers. These are triggers that you've taken on from DNA or your community or your country. This COVID-19 thing is a really good example of a collective fear and a collective fight-flight response, and how it's playing out. Very, very different. Okay. Notice the nuances compared to stuff that you know is truly personal, and that will help teach you about some of the things that stop you from being present, that you are attached to, that you don't need anymore. You don't need to buy into the collective fear of COVID-19. To practice better hygiene can only be a good thing. To practice social distancing can be a good thing. To practice not touching your face, I'm out in the bush, there's no one around, I can do this and know it's okay. But when you're in town and you're touching surfaces that everybody else has, to do this means you might have just transferred it across, right? How do you stop those patterns? How do you stop those habits? We are a habit machine. That's what we are. So this is what is part of this process of awakening, is undoing the habits and coming back to the habit of being present. Am I here? Am I at peace? Am I in my body? Because from in your body, you can have that solid groundedness to be resourceful and accessing your presence. Then you consciously choose your behaviours. You consciously know not to touch your face, for example, if you're in town or around other people, or a surface you've touched. Okay, you know not to do that because you're here. So that will reduce, which will reduce your chances of catching this virus. And if you do catch the virus, then because you can keep coming back and being resourceful, that relaxes your system. It allows your endocrine system, your immune system to function better, so you can deal to it. Okay. This is a test. And on this spiritual process of awakening, the ongoing process of awakening, you will face all of life's challenges, all of them. Sickness, health, pain, emotional pain, mental pain, trauma will still happen when you're blazingly awake. If it's in your DNA, or if it's something that happened to you in the womb or early childhood, it might just pop up at any time. Collective fears. COVID-19 is a wonderful example. December, January, for those of us that were over that side, the eastern side of Australia, fire was another one. Different sort of drama, an emergency level thing, but very fight-flight, and it does stuff to your head, your brain, and how you behave, and how people were interacting in social media and things like that. It was very reactionary, and people would vent out and judge and do stupid behaviours because of the stress that they were not consciously embodying through presence practice. So being aware of your hands and your bum. It's good to be aware of your hands if you don't want to touch your face. Right? You're still aware of your hands and your bum at the same time. If you can't hold 1, 2, bum at the same time, you will with practice, and this is how you learn to be grounded, is you learn to be aware of your physicality, toes, legs, bum, tummy. Okay, so when you're aware of your body, you be aware of maybe also your pulse rate and all those sorts of things. Your sense of space, your inner body, as the Eckhart Tolle would call it. It's good to be aware of that when you're in around people with COVID-19. It gives you a sense of personal space and to respect other people's space. Pull your inner space in a wee bit. It's still infinite when you look into it. And then go into the presence under that, which is a bigger space again, but less defined, and you get used to that, and you can learn to know if it's real for you or not, or if it's just your inner body or the space that your physical body makes up. Right, so that's the 3 layers: body, inner body, presence, and then under that is the void, the nothingness, the spark, the divine spark. That stabilizes a lot later. Once you've matured in the abiding phase, i.e. permanently awake for minimum 5 years plus, because you've kept this practice up, this attention application into these layers and learning about them. So the COVID-19 process that as a planet we are going through is giving you and society measuring sticks on how your spiritual practice is, how present and resourceful are you, while people are not being very conscious. Now, there are genuine traumas coming out of this. Okay? People are losing their jobs and their livelihood and their businesses because people have vanished because of their reactions or because of travel advice. Okay? Stopping the spread is important because it gives time and helps the vulnerable to the point where the systems can handle this. But, you know, if you're not having an income, then that's a problem. That's going to put more fear in, okay? Then you have to deal with that. All right. But being present and being aware of these emotions mean you can be functional and make the best of the situation as best as you can. So this situation that's cropped up is presenting an opportunity to humans, to humanity, to work a bit better together. Because one sloppy person can infect a lot of people. One greedy person that takes enough toilet rolls for 3 years means that someone who's feeble and is doing their like once a week trip can't get their needs met, right? This is the me versus the we thing. There's a lot of complexity in this, and it's showing us how to come back and act responsibly for ourselves, for our spiritual base, and our humanity for everyone else. It is a great reason to up your game with your practice. Seriously. Hand awareness. What are you touching? How often are you cleaning? Are you aware of your personal space and other people's space? Okay? Spatial awareness. This is what the presence practice is about. In some respects, it's a good thing. If it's helping you with your practice and helping you to be a part of our society in a way that you're minimizing damage to other people through your buying behaviors or your spreading behaviors with, if you have symptoms, self-isolate. Otherwise you might kill the old lady next door. This is real. But there's no need to buy into it and freak out. It's amazing for us empathic people what that feels like, and then once you get out of it. Obviously, as you can see, the closest thing to me up there is actually a koala. Now, that is not freaking out about COVID-19. So the feeling here is hugely different to what it is in Melbourne. I could literally feel it as I drove out. It's just like, oh my God, I'm coming out of a strange reality because of the fear, the resonance. Allow yourself to sense that, and then come into your body, be aware of your legs, your backside, your tummy, your hands, and the space. And just feel the space for the space, and the peace and the freedom there that is in that. And see if you can sense the collective fears or your fears around the situation. Where is it going? How bad is it going to get? If we work together, we'll deal with this. And the world systems can come out stronger because we're learning how to do things better. The corporate, like the supermarkets, are learning to do things to look after society by doing certain hours for certain sectors of society who can't compete with able-bodied people. It is bringing out some goodness. So practice. This is an excellent chance for you to see your thought processes, your fear processes, and how you can hold that in a bigger space that you are. If you want to learn more about this, there's the Laws of Grace online course. And for those that are keen, that really want to embed this in a community, there is the Mastery Club, where we delve into this and do a whole range of activities. Go see that page and what's in there and see if it's for you. Make contact. I'm Jason for AwakenedEssence.com.